Have you ever seen a chart-dominating artist become one of the most powerful economic engines on the planet? Have you ever witnessed fans develop arguably parasocial obsessions with this person? And while all of this is occurring, said artist evolves into one of the most famous people in history. I'm sure you've guessed it by now. Today, we're talking about the one and only Taylor Swift. With the Eras documentary hitting global platforms, it's the perfect time to do a deep dive into her evolution, rise to fame, iconic branding moments, and the delicate balance between loyalty and consumer fatigue. While some lifelong fans have grown a bit weary, with some calling her capitalism Barbie due to her recent marketing efforts, this tension is precisely what makes her brand so powerful. Think about it. She launches products with built-in scarcity. She creates new content libraries. That's what the re-recordings are, along with some limited edition album drops that are gated. She created a fandom that spreads across the globe. She generates immense value through Easter eggs, turning every fan into a willing, unpaid data analyst. And she has monetized the one thing no one else can: her own history. Taylor Swift's journey from a teenage country act to an unstoppable personal brand is not a fluke. It's a masterclass in brand architecture, and today we're going to break down how she turned her wholesome authenticity into a multi-billion-dollar machine and what you can steal from her world building, loyalty strategy, and fan-first marketing. Hey friends, I'm Ana The Marketeer, your friendly neighborhood marketeer baddie. I break down the branding and marketing strategies of celebrities, creators, and campaigns so we can both learn and grow our authentic magnetic brands together. And today we're diving into the brand of Taylor Swift. We're dissecting her mastery of storytelling, community building, and value stacking that makes every new release and re-release a global event. But first, I know most of you watching are not subscribed to my channel. If you've been liking my videos, please hit subscribe right now to support the channel and get weekly breakdowns just like this. I'm trying to hit 20K. Every click counts. Please hit that subscribe button right away. And don't forget to join my newsletter, Marketeer's Memo, to get your free authentic branding checklist. The link is in the description below. Also, you can listen to these episodes on Spotify as well. The link is also in the description. Now, let's break it down. The foundation: authenticity as positioning. Taylor Swift's initial success was built on two simple yet revolutionary ideas in the mid-2000s. Number one, vulnerability is the hook. Her earliest brand DNA was rooted in high school narratives, which made sense because she was a teenager. Taylor was positioned as the outcast, the heartbroken girl next door who was too country for the pop kids. She gave fans access to the feeling of being a teenager, transforming specific moments of adolescent drama into universal anthems. She went beyond music to the idea of relatability as a product. And number two, the persona is the promise. From debut, Fearless, Speak Now, Red in 1989, her core promise was simple: I will always tell you the truth and I will always be on your side. While each of these albums brought a different vibe and sound, she cemented the parasocial relationship, the feeling that she was your friend, navigating life's challenges alongside you. This relationship became the foundation of her brand loyalty. She didn't have just fans, she had a community that felt invested in her personal diary. I feel it's important to note that during these eras, Taylor used to follow and connect with fans routinely. She was very into Tumblr. She also used to host fans at her own home. Can you imagine that? Being in Taylor Swift's house? Like, that's crazy to think of now. From the 1989 listening party to secret sessions and Christmas parties, lucky Swifties who were either contest winners or handpicked by Taylor and her team on social media got to enjoy many intimate moments with their favorite artists. Obviously, as she grew more famous and fans became increasingly obsessive, these types of gatherings stopped altogether. Obviously, they're gonna have to for her own safety. With all of this in mind, the critical brand skill she mastered early was storytelling and relatability as emotional leverage. Every song was a coded message, every ex-boyfriend a chapter. By the time her third album, Speak Now, dropped, the audience wasn't just consuming girl next door music. They were playing a detective game, making making her an active, required participant in the fandom's life. So here's the first lesson you can learn from Taylor. Leverage what you already have. Taylor leveraged her journal entries, her emotions, and her personal life to create content that was impossible to replicate because it was uniquely hers. Before we jump back into Taylor's branding masterclass, I want to thank Brevo for sponsoring today's video. Because listen, if there's one artist who understands the power of a cohesive, automated ecosystem, it's Taylor Swift. When Taylor drops an era, the rollout is everywhere. The visuals, the fonts, the secret messages, the surprise announcements, the emails, the store drops, it all hits at once. Like she has a marketing army hidden in the walls. But here's the truth. Taylor has a massive team and you don't. But that doesn't mean you can't build your own mini era machine. With Brevo, you can manage everything in one place. Email marketing, SMS, WhatsApp, automations, CRM, and customer data. And the feature I want to highlight today, segments. If Taylor can split her fans into vinyl collectors, digital stands, Easter egg decoders, and I only want the live versions people, you can segment your audience too. With Brevo, you can tag people automatically based on what they click, what they download, what they buy, or what they engage with. So instead of sending the same message to everyone, you're giving each person the right message at the right time for their specific era. It's how your brand goes from chaos to, oh wow, they really get me. If you want your marketing to feel more intentional, more personal, and more Swift level cohesive, head to get.brevo.com/Ana and use my code Ana for 50% off the starter and standard plans for your first 3 months. Again, that's get.brevo.com/Ana, code Ana. Let your audience enter their right era automatically. Now, let's get back into this video. Signature, differentiator, scarcity, and the Easter egg economy. What sets Taylor Swift apart from every other pop star, especially after her move into mainstream pop with 1989, was her mastery of scarcity and anticipation. While other artists rushed to flood the market, Taylor began to create intentional gaps and coded narratives. The first is what we'll call the cult of the clue. Her true differentiator is the Easter egg economy. This strategy elevates her content above passive entertainment because, one, it creates community engagement. Fans gather on Reddit and Twitter not to just listen, but to solve a puzzle together. And once TikTok became mainstream, this only increased. This shared activity strengthens their collective loyalty. It extends the life of the content. A single TikTok video teasing a new album is not consumed for 15 seconds. It's analyzed for 15 hours. The life cycle of the content is exponentially extended by the complexity of the clues. And two, it signals value. If she took the time to hide the clue must be important. It tells the audience, you are smart enough to understand my secret language. You're a true fan. This intimacy is priceless. The second thing Taylor did super well was leveraging the power of silence in her Reputation era. After the tumultuous 1989 era, the public feuds between Taylor and the other celebrities like Kanye and Katy Perry continued to brew. She was also routinely attacked by the media, as many female celebrities are. This, along with her sexual assault trial where she famously sued for $1 and won, love her for that, proving that it wasn't about money, and her budding relationship with Joe Alwyn drove Taylor into hiding for over a year. Her 2017 re-entry was a masterclass in scarcity. She deleted her social media, went dark, and let the absence build a deafening anticipation. She emerged not with an apology, but with a new snake motive and an album that implied, yes, I am the villain you paid me to be, but I'm still the hero of my own story. The scarcity of her public voice made her eventually come back exponentially more impactful, and the opening of her rep tour, that sent a message. Taylor leaned into the allegations and shared a lot of the nasty things that had been said about her with the crowd. The third thing that Taylor did really well was the Lover Bridge, as we'll call it. Before diving into the Quarantine Sister albums, it's crucial to acknowledge the Lover era. Although many don't rank it as a top album, Lover brought a completely different version of Taylor to fans. Following the defensive and bold aesthetic of Reputation, Lover Lover was a radical brand pivot back to bright colors, heart motives, and unapologetic sincerity. It was a calculated move to reaffirm the brand's core promise of joy and vulnerability after a period of intense cynicism. And Taylor shifted back to a softer former self, featuring Katy Perry on the album and showing fans that they'd made up in the "You Need to Calm Down" video, and leaning into more of a happy feminist but still F the patriarchy tone. More importantly, it acted as a narrative bridge, proving Taylor could shed the snake image and return to the pop mainstream while simultaneously laying the groundwork for her eventual soft-spoken political engagement. The shift was essential to show the audience that the brand's heart was still intact. As we all know, her Lover tour plans would ultimately get foiled by the global pandemic in 2020, but many argue that was for the best, as it led to other incredible albums and eventually the Eras tour. A key brand principle we can take here is differentiation equals repeatable feeling. Taylor's repeatable feeling is, I am sharing a secret with you and I always stand by my truth. With Reputation, she used the backlash to come back stronger, and this drew fans, old and new, right back in. With Lover, she was in her late 20s and thus brought a more mature sound, leaning more into adult relationships and conflict as inspiration, as opposed to her earlier soft pop music that felt more geared toward teen narratives. I'll note here that for many Swifties, this period of time was quite profound because they saw how Taylor had evolved from a sweet all-American girl to an empowered woman with rage and feelings, and back to a charismatic, maturing artist who, during the Lover era, wanted to speak out against her own government and its systems of oppression that harmed minorities and the LGBTQ community. The only issue is these fans don't feel that as of 2025, she's maintained this stance, but more on that later. Brand grammar, the cinematic era system. Now, we all know Taylor Swift doesn't release albums, she launches eras. That alone sets her apart. Her brand grammar is a cohesive system of sights, sounds, and emotional promises, making every pivot instantly recognizable. Let's get into the first thing related to her brand grammar, which is the visuals and colors that she uses. So every album is defined by a distinct color palette. Red was, red. Lover was soft pink and sky blues. Folklore was grayscale. Midnight brought deep blues, purples, and lots of glitter. The Life of a Showgirl, her current era, basically owned the teal and orange combo. And these are just a few examples. Her chosen color palette for each album and era makes the content instantly distinct and recognizable across any platform, whether that's merch, Spotify playlists, or her tour visuals. There's also the persona pivot. She changes genres and aesthetic containers, but the core songwriter persona remains intact. Arguably, that has changed recently according to some fans, but I'll touch on that a little later. Whether she's the country princess, the pop queen, or the indie auteur, the music is always anchored in highly specific personal narratives. Even though Taylor herself has emphasized that Folklore and Evermore were inspired by stories and creators she invented as a form of escapism, fans still relate deeply to them, dissect them, and draw parallels between the lyrics and Taylor's life or other music. And then the last part of her brand grammar is the tour as thesis. The Eras tour, which ran for nearly 2 years, was the physical 3-hour manifestation of her entire brand grammar. It's a value stack that forces the audience to engage with all 10 plus versions of Taylor Swift at once. Pivots and extensions, the re-recordings, and public personas. Taylor's career is a series of calculated pivots that expanded her containers without breaking her promise to the fans. Let's look at her ultimate value stack, Taylor's version. The re-recording project, called As we know, Taylor's version is the single greatest example of brand equity monetization in history. It took a devastating business setback, which was losing her masters, and turned it into a moral crusade by positioning the campaign as a fight for artists' rights, turning a legal issue into a deeply emotional us versus them narrative. And also, she created a whole new content library by releasing new albums from the vault tracks, giving fans new content using old narratives, which truly is the ultimate win-win. And it was also like a time machine. She forced fans to revisit the old eras and reimagine them alongside her, strengthening the loyalty they already felt. This is the ultimate lesson in value stacking, giving the audience an exponential amount of value, new tracks, new videos, new vinyl variants that reinforces the core brand promise. She is a fighter and she values her work. Now we'll take a quick look at her Miss Americana to mainstream pivot that happened between 2023 and 2025, because the shift in Taylor's public persona after the success of Midnight's and the Eras tour provides the most interesting recent case study. For years, particularly during her relationship with Joe Alwyn, her brand leaned into scarcity and quiet artistic legitimacy, especially with Folklore and Evermore in 2020. Her brief public visibility during the documentary Miss Americana positioned her as a soft cultural ally and an artist focused on private craft. But once she was no longer with Joe, fans feared she'd lose her muse. I'd like to point out that this fan theory may or may not be valid. We'll never know. And it's a bit misogynistic to assume a woman requires a romantic partner by her side to write and perform well. Did Joe bring out her best? Well, that's a subjective opinion, and that is where things can get parasocial. Fans will argue online that Taylor was or wasn't happy during specific albums and songwriting processes, and the truth is, none of us will know what her psyche and feelings were ever, unless she chooses to tell us. In her 2024 album, The Tortured Poets Department, which was released mid-tour, fans got a taste of her 2020 era lyricism and poetic ballads, which was quite a contrast compared to the synth vibe Midnight's brought. And I can't film a video about Taylor Swift without talking about the impact of the Eras tour itself. It was a spectacle, touring 21 countries from March 2023 until December 2024. Taylor performed for 3 hours without breaks, had fans screaming over every era, and the surprise songs every night showcased a group of insanely talented dancers and created an unforgettable night for thousands of people at a time. She was notoriously generous to her crew and the food banks in cities she visited too. Taylor Swift created an entire subculture and ongoing brand moment around the tour. The elaborate outfits, the friendship bracelets, the demand for tickets, the TikTok live streams. She claims that some of this was unintentional and done by the fans, but given her and her team being a masterclass in branding and PR, I think they anticipated that this would be the tour of a lifetime and turn Taylor into a billionaire. However, the pivot in 2024 and 2025, which coincided with her relationship with Travis Kelce, her current fiance, was a dramatic move back into the American mainstream. And this is important to look at because a lot of things changed here as she got into this relationship with Travis. The first thing was her visibility. She moved from hiding in London to selling out stadiums to high-profile appearances at NFL games, aligning her brand with one of the most traditional, visible, and mainstream American institutions. And then there was also a persona shift. Her presentation shifted from the quiet, serious author to a hyper-visible, traditionally romantic figure, a strategic move to anchor the brand in the center of American culture, connecting with a demographic like the casual sports watching public she had previously ignored. The artistic challenge, the life of a showgirl and lyrical critique. This pivot was paralleled by the fan critique of the lyricism in her latest album, The Life of a Showgirl. While albums like Folklore, Evermore, and The Tortured Poets Department were praised for their narrative complexity, character studies, and dense lyricism, possibly due to her collaboration with Aaron Dessner rather than Jack Antonoff. The reception for The Life of a Showgirl was notably different. Many fans, including those in the Swiftie inner circle, felt that the lyrical sharpness of the Joe era was missing, and the songs felt less like cinematic short stories and more like straightforward, materialistic, potentially juvenile, out of touch, or even trad wife coded voice notes. The criticism wasn't about the lack of Jack Antonoff, though his role is always critical, but about the perceived dilution of the narrative depth. Many fans believe that Taylor Swift is now truly happy and wanted to create a lighthearted, fun album, and that could very well be the case. But it doesn't change the fact that many others feel that The Life of a Showgirl just doesn't sound like Taylor Swift and doesn't live up to the hype or the quality of her other albums. There's a ton of online discourse about how the lyrics and PR for this album felt very high school oriented rather than the product of a genuinely happy 35-year-old woman who produced bangers for the past decade. However, we can't forget that people, you, me, and even Taylor Swift, are allowed to change. Her fame and age caused her to stray from the beloved 2010s Tumblr Taylor, who connected with fans, so we could argue that with success, this was inevitable. So what's the brand lesson that we can learn from this recent pivot? It's when a brand pivots its public persona dramatically, like from quiet indie artist to stadium-side celebrity or showgirl, simultaneously changes its creative product from complex poetry to simpler confessional, the audience will link the two. The feeling is her attention is now elsewhere, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it proves that for a brand built on intimacy and relatability, a perceived lack of focus on the art and the messages tied to it can quickly undermine the authenticity that powers the whole machine. Legacy phase, monetizing the empire. Post the Eras Tour, Taylor Swift's brand evolved into its legacy phase, which is her monetizing her whole empire. This is where her strategic alignment with capitalism becomes the narrative. The immense success of the Eras Tour, which became the highest grossing tour of all time, generating billions and prompting an entire discussion about local economic impact, has cemented her status beyond music. This hyper-capitalist phase where fans are asked to purchase multiple vinyl variants, spend thousands on tickets, and buy re-recordings of albums they already own has attracted criticism. Some of her fans have accused her of grifting, and I can't say I necessarily disagree. However, from a branding perspective, what she's doing is monetizing brand trust and value stacking. She's doing this first and foremost with trust. Fans trust that every purchase, even the fourth vinyl variant, is a collectible item with hitting meaning, and also through value. The ticket price for the Eras Tour was justified by the 3-hour career-spanning spectacle, the ultimate, irreplaceable value stack. Taylor mastered the art of making the audience want to participate in the wealth creation. Her journey has become an aspirational narrative for female business owners worldwide. She's selling the idea that a woman can be both authentically vulnerable and ruthlessly successful. Defining the brand. So if Taylor Swift were a brand with a strategic doc, here is what I think it would look like. Let's get into her core brand pillars. Number 1 is intimacy and parasocial trust. The bond between creator and consumer is the primary value proposition. Number 2 is her storytelling and world building. Every product, whether it's a song, video, or tour, is a chapter in a cohesive, evolving cinematic universe. And her third brand pillar is scarcity and anticipation. The strategic use of silence, coded language, and re-releases to create demand. If I had to summarize Taylor Swift's emotional brand promise, it would be, I will share my deepest secrets with you, we understand each other, and together we will write history. Brand lessons for you. Okay, so what can you learn from the brand of Taylor Swift? As we always do, we got to give you some practical advice here at Ana The Marketeer. So let's steal some of Taylor's frameworks from her playbook. Number 1 is monetize your history, the Taylor's version strategy. Your old content isn't dead. It's an asset waiting for a new frame. Repackage, re-record, or reframe your existing knowledge base with from the vault extras. Re-releasing is re-engaging. Number 2, turn audience into detectives. The Easter egg economy. Give your community a job. Build subtle, high-value clues into your content or product launches. This extends your lifespan of your content and transform your audience from passive consumers into active, loyal collaborators. Number 3, build cinematic eras, not just products. Give your launch a color palette, a mood, and a distinct aesthetic. When you launch a new service or course, it should feel like a distinct era with its own rules, not just a random product drop. Number 4, master the strategic pivot. When you change your brand's direction, like going from tortured poet Miss Americana to the mainstream showgirl, you must bring the audience along with a clear, intentional narrative bridge. If your audience smells a disconnect between your public persona and your creative output, you risk undermining your foundation of authenticity. And 5, scarcity and silence are power moves. You don't always have to be shouting. Sometimes pulling back, like the reputation era, social media blackout, is the only way to make your eventual return feel like the cultural event the audience craves. In conclusion, Taylor Swift's brand genius lies in her ability to take the messy, private reality of her life and process it through a strategic, highly profitable lens of art and commerce. She taught us that authenticity isn't about being perfectly flawless. It's about being relentlessly consistent in your core promise to the audience. And when you treat your history as a high-value content library, you stop waiting for the next big hit and start building an unstoppable, self-sustaining ecosystem. So here's your challenge, marketeers. What part of your own history are you under monetizing? Thank you so much for watching today. Drop your favorite Taylor Swift Easter egg reveal or album in the comments below. Please like this video, share with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also to my newsletter, Marketeer's Memo, if you like more content like this. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Ana The Marketeer. And if you'd like personal help on your marketing or branding strategy, please send me a email. My email's in the description below. If you send me a DM, there's a super high chance I won't see it because I get a lot of DMs, and it's just way better to send me an email if you want some specific help. Until next time, marketeers, stay relatable, stay clever, and most importantly, stay you.